Hello, hello, my beautiful spirits. Hope you're all doing well. It is I, your favorite whimsical one, Dr. Whimsy Anderson, and I'm here today in my kitchen. I thought it might be nice to give you a tarot card reading. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it. And I thought you might like to see the rest of the house. This is my kitchen, and this is also where I practice kitchen medicine. I am a naturopathic doctor, and I create herbal formulas for my patients in addition to their uh, diet, nutrition, etc. You can see in the background, these are all the herbs. I have, at this point, accumulated well over 300 herbs. These are mostly display. I do sometimes use them. And the rest are, of course, in these bins. Alas, I've run out of space, so I have opened up behind me another case, uh, another area, a bookshelf, to fill in the rest of the herbs. When will I stop? I don't know, 400? The joke is that I've never met an herb I didn't like. I've never met an herb I didn't like. A lot of people are scared, and a lot of people have talked to me about fear regarding the fact that we are in war. War is very terrifying, it's very violent. A lot of people are dying, and this too shall pass. And I truly believe that that is kind of what we all have to be thinking right now, is that this too shall pass. If you're a loving, compassionate person, you don't want to see anyone die, right? It's not like you get to be selective and say, well, I only want my enemies to die. No. Yeah, so even if you feel that, for example, it's the Civil War, right? Most of us are happy that slavery doesn't exist anymore in the United States, right? I think we can all agree on that. But 500,000 Americans died in that Civil War, and much of those deaths were due to disease. Right? People got diseases like yellow fever, right? So cholera, cholera epidemic, right? So that just sounds horrible, right? War is always the last choice. War is always when you've exhausted everything else. And ethically, morally, war is the place you come to when all else fails, and you do it in a way to prevent greater losses later. An example would be the Civil War, right? So the Civil War, 500,000 people died. Was it necessary? Would slavery have simply ended without the Civil War? I think that there comes a point when, as a human being, you have to stand up and say enough is enough, right? So those are kind of moral questions we can ask ourselves. At what point do we say that it has to take a lot, right, before we get to violence? Whether it's the Civil War or the Russian Revolution would be another example. Um, the Second World War, when people were literally being exterminated, right? So that's the spiritual question, right? At what point do we say, if we don't stop this person, they're going to kill everybody. They're eventually going to get to me. Or, I think I'll just sit back. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's somebody else's kid. I don't know. I mean, those are things we have to pray and meditate on. And those are the great moral and ethical questions that philosophers have been asking themselves for a really, really long time. We should never be laissez-faire about war. War is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. And yeah, so that was just what I want to say. It's something to be, now is a time to be mindful of that. We've talked a lot about the energy right now. We talked about the fire horse, which came in February 17th, 2026. This is the year of the fire horse according to Chinese astrology, and it brings joy. It's associated with the heart. It's associated with the heart meridian. In Chinese medicine, the heart meridian is associated with joy, right? But it's also extreme heat in the body can also be deleterious to the health, right? So the organs affected by the fire element are the heart, the small intestine, the pericardium, and the triple heater, right? So the pericardium is the connective tissue around the heart. It's like a sac around the heart, and it protects the heart. Inside of it is like an amniotic type of fluid that kind of holds the heart in this kind of like bladder of moisture and protection. That's the pericardium. And triple heater in Chinese medicine was considered like the body's ability to engage in homeostasis, keep the temperature at a particular level, make sure it doesn't get too hot, too cold. It goes up, the triple heater, it raises the temperature in order to burn off things like viruses. So when that element becomes imbalanced, those are some of the areas that we can have health challenge. For example, hyperactivity or too much heat in the body in Chinese medicine is associated with heart disease, right? So we worry about with too much heat in the body, the guy who gets red in the face, who is a type A personality, right? And we see the redness coming up, the flames coming up, right? So that's considered bad. Then the person becomes so upset they give themselves a heart attack or something, right? So we always try to get the blood pressure down, the heat down in the body. Well, I thought I would go ahead and I would do the empath prayer, and we're just going to take a look at what's going on in terms of the energies. My name is Whimsy. Blessings to you all. If you could like, share, and subscribe as we gently float towards 100, 1,000. We are so close, and alas, so far. Oh, all right, let's do it. Thank you for being here. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say Amen. I really enjoy being here. I really enjoy the space of my kitchen. And I really like having you in my kitchen. So thank you for being here. What is coming in the weeks ahead? What is going on? There's war, there's a lot of crazy stuff. Will it get better? I hope so. What's going on in the world with this government, that government? So much crazy going on. Hopefully it will all settle down. What's going on with the economy? Many jobs are changing as we move towards artificial intelligence. But will that really end us from working? Will humans stop working just because of artificial intelligence? I don't think so. Just like we have more work than ever since we got home computers, the nature of work changes, but human beings are such that we will always create work for ourselves. It is our nature humans came to the earth with a desire to work. You know, this is the story of Adam. In the Kabbalistic interpretation of the story of Adam, the soul of Adam is the soul of human consciousness entering the earth, and it's used as an allegory, the story of Eden, to something that is actually metaphysical, and it's this idea of humanity entering the earth. In the Buddhist tradition, that would be called the bodhisattvas of the earth, spiritual beings that have chosen to embody skins of leather, right? Adam put on skins of leather, right? Our skin is the skins of leather. We have entered into this world, into this dimension, in order to experience life in this dimension, right? So that is the story of Adam, and that is the story of life in this world. To work. We want to work. It is our nature to work. The first thing that the cards are talking about is they're talking about this idea that there will be many changes that are coming over the earth at this time. Two major forces are existing at this time that we have discussed. The first is the fire horse, and the second is the energy of the empowered female over the earth. Now, in different African traditions, or in different traditions throughout the world, we have different archetypes that we would describe as the feminine divine. In the African tradition, that we think about Oshun. Oshun is the goddess of love and fertility, falling in love, sensuality, the beautiful things of life, and femininity. But Oshun also has an aspect where she can go to war. And usually when she goes to war, it is because of a sense of righteousness or justice. And often for her, that is to protect children in captivity, children who have been harmed or abused, human trafficking, child sexual abuse. This is the liberation of the captive is associated with the energy of Oshun, this African goddess of Oshun who comes to liberate her people. What's interesting is that both aspects, from February 17th until next year, both aspects are very close to the earth. Now, if you're somebody who loves children, and if you're somebody who wants to see justice when you see children being abused, this is the year where you will likely see the reckoning. Okay, so from February 17th, 2026 until February 17th, 2027 is the reckoning. You have an account and a reckoning. And this is something we can all do, right? We can all do an account and a reckoning for our lives, where we give an account every day of our deeds and our misdeeds. We are all human. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And the universe doesn't expect us to be perfect, but the universe does ask us to give an account and a reckoning, to give an account and a reckoning so we can work towards our perfection, so we can work towards becoming better people. That's the purpose. Not that you are perfect, not that you won't make mistakes in your life and have to apologize. But do not lie to yourself. If you are taking advantage of another person, if you are sitting back and letting somebody else do the work and saying, I'm a nice guy, out of sight, out of mind, that person pays the bills, I don't have to worry about it. That would be an example of kind of like a passive form of abuse, right? But then we think about also the active forms where a person actively sets to harm you, right? So then you might have a reaction that's much more violent, right? Where somebody actually evokes a violent action against them, right? So what we have now in the base card is death or a major transformation. Interesting that we wound up with two major arcana cards. The death card, which would indicate there's a major transformation happening in the world right now, and the world. So it isn't just one place that's experiencing this transformation. It is actually the whole entire world is undergoing a major transformation right now. What I would say to everybody is the greatest lie we all tell ourselves is, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice person. I'm a nice person. Does everybody think you're a nice person? Right? So when we spend time giving an account and a reckoning, we have to be not hard. Don't be so hard on yourself you're inactive, but be honest in your account and the reckoning as you spend this year attempting to take responsibility for your life and do what you can not to be a burden to anybody else, because things are changing. The other thing I would suggest is to take care of your mortality. Not that you're going to die this year, but it's just another final act of love that we can all do. Swedish death cleaning, right? Make sure you're not leaving a big mess for the person that has to come to clean it up afterwards, right? These are little things we can do. Have boundaries with people that mistreat and don't respect you. Maybe it's time to end relationships. Maybe the account and reckoning also means that certain people cannot be in your life because they have not treated you right. They have taken advantage of you. We always want to be mindful of what we are putting out, but we also have to protect ourselves from what other people are putting out that could be harming us. So we have this major transformation happening with the death card and the world. The world is changing. Is it for the better or for the worse? I don't know. Eight of Wands is a rapid change. It is the month of August. One of the things that started to come up in the Tarot is this idea of rapid change, and that these changes are going to hit their peak sometime in the peak of summer. Sometime around the peak of summer, we see some kind of dramatic change happening. And I don't know what that is, but it would indicate a victory. So, for example, if the West is going to war in Iran, we now see the toppling of the Iranian government, and the prince is forming a constitutional monarchy, which is what the people of Iran really want. It will be so probably within 1 year, because Ace of Swords is a victory win. It's a victory win. So this will pass. This will end. I feel that by August, we're looking at a very different world. We're looking at a world where things change by August, and it will change for the better. It will change for the better. We also have this fighting starting to happen. It's interesting here that in the fourth house we see conflict and fighting. A lot of conflict and fighting. For example, Orban doesn't want to give money to Zelensky because he feels like Zelensky is attempting to sabotage his re-election, screwing up Hungary's economy. So Orban is angry and saying, you're screwing up my economy deliberately to harm my re-election chances. All this tension that's starting to happen, and we're sitting in there. It is the fire horse. Knight of Wands is the fire horse, by the way. It's a rapid, aggressive energy. It's associated with Mars, and that is also associated with war. Southwest Asia, right? So the Middle East is, where people don't want to call it the Middle East because it's the Middle East of what? East of Europe, so that makes it Eurocentric, right? No, it's southwest of Asia. It's the southwestern part of Asia. So it is on the Asian continent, so why don't you just call it Southwest Asia? But it's interesting that the direction of the Knight of Wands is the southwest, and it has that kind of southwestern feel. I often think about taking a vacation to California or Mexico when I see that card. The past placement is love, Ace of Cups, or love and blessings from the universe. And we are entering into a time of violence and war. Again, here with the Knight of Swords moving in. This is a very, very violent energy. Also, I would be careful about bad weather because this is also associated with a couple of things that have to do with the weather. For example, wind angry, violent wind, a bull in a china shop, tearing things down. It has that kind of windy, violent rain, violence, cold, icy cold wind. So we could be seeing not only fight, but disruptions. There's violence, there's disruption as well right now. Looking across the water, waiting for our ships to come in. Three of Wands is a 3-month period. We're now in April, May, June, July. So we're going into April, May, and June. It can be a 3-month period. It's waiting for your ship to come in. It is also a lucky card. The house of opposition is the house of the Fool. Be prepared. Make sure that you have money put aside for a rainy day, and take care of yourself. Be about your business, child. Do not be foolish. Save for a rainy day. If there's an emergency or something should happen, you want to make sure because Fool is in your house of opposition. So in case things are a little rocky the next couple of months, you just want to make sure that you are prepared. I swear, I'm somebody who I have a lot of food in my house, you guys. It's just my nature. I have rice, I got beans, I got quinoa, I have sourdough that I'm gonna be cooking. I make my own breads. Trying to be as independent as possible, as financially independent as possible, as much as you can to take care of yourself right now, because Fool in the house of opposition, it's like daydreaming and just hoping tomorrow will be better. Be proactive. Be proactive right now. We're also worried about our relationships, our partnerships. So it could be that the United States is concerned about its partnerships. Other countries are concerned about, can we come together? Do we really have to fight about this? Can we come together with that Two of Wands energy as the hope and fear? And the final outcome is Tower. This would indicate possibly some kind of major event. We're very concerned about sleeper cells right now in the United States, possible attacks, the fact that TSA is not working, so they're not there to ensure that a terrorist attack is going to happen. Sleeper cells are groups of extremists that have been here for a very, very long time, who have decided that now is the time for them to come out of hiding and begin attacking U.S. targets. I'm very concerned about drone attacks. I've talked about that. I also think that there's a good possibility that the stock market could crash right now. You know that the oil market is through the roof. For that reason, I agree with some of the other readers that have said it could be rocky the next couple of months. I actually think that these cards would agree with that. However, we are headed towards something better. This is what the Iranian people wanted. If you talk to the Iranian people, not the people that are in the cult, the majority are not in the cult, right? So if you go and talk to the average Iranian person, they will say, this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted. So you have a Six of Wands coming in the 7th house, which would indicate that we will be victorious, that the West will win this war. We will win this war. And the house of opposition, you got to be careful with your money, folks. Just make sure you're being responsible with your finances. Hopes and fears, there it is, Armistice Day. A great armistice is coming, and the final outcome, Chariot, movement. So it's like there'll be a correction. The market's probably going to crash. There's going to be some economic challenges. But this, in the end, it is for the best. In the end, everything gets better. In the end, everything gets better, because the number one sponsored state terrorist will no longer be in existence. We'll no longer have to worry about the Taliban being propped up, right? The Taliban will collapse because it will no longer be getting arms or financial support from a state-sponsored terrorist, a country sponsoring it, right? Let me just look at the economy one time. I'm going to do some blitzes now, some 4-card blitzes, and let's just look at everybody's money over the next couple of months. If you could share, like, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. The money. We have Star. We have 9 of Cups. We have Conflict. And we have April. So this is something that's come up also in these cards, is that there's a possibility of new beginnings or new job opportunities happening in April. I also think that something is going to happen where I know many members of the opposition, IRGC, are surrendering, right? Iran is surrendering. The president resigned. And 85% of air defense has been knocked out, So we could see an end as early as April, to be honest, with skirmishes going on until August. Look at that, Oshun right over the 7th house. This is the card I use for Oshun. She rides the fire horse. Her dress is honey, but it's also fire. She will have her justice. The star is over her. I'm telling you, her energy is over this earth in a way I have never seen before. Huge amounts of money being poured into the economy after the war is over because of these new building projects. I feel new building projects, new jobs, because it's cleared, the obstruction is cleared, and then all this money is poured in. It's like the international community is just pouring massive amounts of money into this new trade route. A little bit about the new trade route. They're pretty sure it's going to come from India into the new Iran, into the Middle East. And that was the trade route that Iran was blocking as part of the Abraham Accords. But they're pretty sure India wants to be a part of it. So India wanted to be a part of the Abraham Accords. United Arab Emirates had signed up for it. Bahrain, Morocco, Israel, Egypt wants to be a part of it. Jordan wants to be a part of it. Now Syria wants to be a part of it. They just had one little problem to take care of. There was somebody there that was blocking that road. So that changes, and they get their new trade route, and that is a huge boom to the global economy. I do, which is quite auspicious, means more jobs for everybody starting in April, because it's going to result in more federal jobs, and then that's going to boomerang to other jobs. Learn AI, you'll use it in your job, but you will still have a job. You still got to go to work, people. I know. It's not quite what you think. AI is fun, but it's not going to do everything for you. Even if machines do surgery, the only thing that changed is that surgeons now have to learn how to use the machines. That we're now being guided when we do certain surgeries, and it's to 1/32nd of a millimeter of the accuracy is amazing, but the surgeon is still there. It's just a different way of practicing medicine. We're no longer sawing people's arms off when you go and you decide to go to the barber, you're not going to have your arm sawed off. There was when we got tempered steel and scalpels and antibiotics, it didn't make it so everybody got to retire from medicine. It just upped the game, right? You're still going to have doctors. You're still going to, it's fun to have artificial intelligence give you a tarot card reading, but it's not the same as having a human being there with intuition. It's just, it will never really be the same, right? You could go to a concert and have a bunch of machines play the violin perfectly, and it might sound good, but it will never be able to evoke the soul like a fellow human being connecting with you through music. It's just not going to happen. And I think for that reason, people will be disappointed to some extent. with AI, because it will not be quite what we had hoped it could be, you know. Let's take a look at the future of AI. The future of AI. We're having fun. All right, the future of AI. Healing. So the best benefit for AI is that it will help us feel better. It will improve our health. Archangel Raphael comes to bring the elixir, to bring the healing. The house of opposition. People feel that they are constrained or controlled by the AI. The AI contradicts you, Dr. Anderson. Artificial intelligence, or I checked with ChatGPT. Yes, but did you ask this question and that question? Did you go probe deeper, or did you just... So that relationship that exists between human beings and AI. Well, the AI packed question, but did you really just accept that answer, or did you challenge AI? Because AI can get stuff wrong. Yeah, so just knowing that we sometimes feel a little bit constricted by it. Final outcome for us is that ultimately human beings have the power. Yeah, so you're not going to lose your job to AI. Your job will change due to AI, but you will not lose your job because of AI. And new jobs begin to prop up, right? AI specialist, or your AI goes fritzy, and then you have to have a repairman come in to help you with your Wii robot that just crashed in your living room, right? So, and then you have a whole group of AI experts that get trained at Tesla that have to show up in Tesla cars to fix the fact that it goes on and on and on. It's just like the brand new economy that got started when we put in home computers. Oh, home computers, we're not going to have any work and everything's going to come to... Oh my God. Now you got the IT people. Now you got the computer people, the repair people that come. Now you got the people that sell at Apple. Then you got the people who do the training. Then you got the people who have the web development. It just goes on and on and on and on. Then you have all the people that have websites and all the people who do the graphic. So it actually created a ton of new jobs that didn't exist before. What did we do before we had a website? Right? But we needed a website when we all had a home computer, right? So now all of a sudden a whole new group of jobs came up. People that make websites, right? All right, I do want to look at Ukraine right now, because Zelensky has adopted the Oasis protocol, and I think that's a very good idea, because say we get rid of Putin, yay, we got rid of Putin, and then he gets replaced by another nut job that also tries to conquer, and on and on and on it goes, where you never have a stable border. But if the economy shifts to an Oasis economy, then they would be able in time to join the Abraham Accords, and in time it would be profitable to maintain peace, because the Oasis becomes a profitable investment for both Russia and Ukraine. And I think it's a very wise decision. And then you would finally see an end to war and competition, because peace would be profitable. A new trade route. That's what we all need, a new trade route. All right, Russia and Ukraine, smoother waters lay ahead. Six of Swords moving into seventh position is very auspicious. It's also good for trade. If you're looking at a trade and you see this no obstruction, leaving past a conflict and going into smooth waters would be very auspicious. Also, I read swords as years, right? So when you get something like a Six of Swords, smooth waters lay ahead for many years to come for Ukraine. No obstruction of the boat. It's not like somebody's there saying you can't leave the port, right? So it's a very auspicious card. The House of Opposition, people who don't want to let it go, people who don't want to give up the war because we've already lost 1 million soldiers. I can't let this go. I can't just throw in the towel and admit that 1 million people are dead and I'm responsible for it, right? So the opposition could be that Russia does not want to admit to defeat, because defeat means that they've lost all these soldiers. So you have that house of opposition being the Eight of Cups, the hopes and fears that it will be a dream that never gets off the ground, and the final outcome is the masters will hone out a peace deal that will be beneficial to both parties. I feel that it really is the end of the road for Putin, because he won't be able to obstruct this new economy. He won't be able to obstruct the new peace deal. He won't be able to obstruct the new Abraham Accords trade route, which goes all the way from India through Iran into Dubai, Riyadh, Amman, Jordan, Cairo, the outer banks of the West Bank and Gaza, creating an economy for Palestinians as well, right? Many Palestinians say, well, we don't want to fight. We'd love to be part of that trade route. So now Palestinian villages, this is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I truly believe that Ukraine and Russia want to be a part of that. And I think it's very auspicious in the coming years to have a Six of Swords, which is smooth water lay ahead for Ukraine and Russia in the coming years. They will sign that peace treaty. And Eight of Pentacles, you couldn't hope for a better outcome, because that is mastery. The masters will find a way to create work, job, financial stability, and peace in the region. The greatest obstacle at this time is the pain of having to admit that so many people died for nothing, and to walk away from that dream. That is the obstacle, but it will happen. We have to be very judicious when we go into peace treaties with this type of individual, because Putin lost everything in this war. He lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and to have to give it up, and how can they turn this defeat into a win and make him feel as if he got something in the end? That is the only way to get Putin to agree to this. I want to do one more just before we close off, because I feel like they are going to get rid of Putin. What did Joe Biden say? Try him in the Hague sooner rather than later, right? That's he was calling for him to be arrested, right? Arrest him, put him in the Hague, right? Let's take a look. The future of Putin. This is fun. We should spend more time in my kitchen. What do you think? Should we do that? Would you like that? Putin's future. I'm nervous. I feel nervous for him, because a lot of people don't think he is the one of the main reasons they're not going to get this trade route, right? So the whole entire world is looking over at him and saying, are you going to let us pass by peacefully, or are you going to be a problem maker? Okay, Putin. Economic, financial stability, that is the issue. Everything for me. All the money is for me. Money, 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 right? So the economic stability. What's in it for me? House of opposition. They have dirt or evidence against him that can be used against him. There's hidden information that could be harmful to Putin. There's something that is going to be over his head. Some hidden information that could force Putin's hand. There it is, the contract. Three of Pentacles, which is a blueprint, can be a blueprint for peace, but it is a blueprint to build something. Wow, that's really interesting. The cards would indicate that he has a date with Oshun. and that this date, she has a date, I have a date. This is what Oshun would say to him. You and I have a date. They may get to peace with Putin, but I would say his fate is sealed regardless. Yeah, I don't know. It's not looking too good. it's looking pretty bad. Oh, I would be very nervous. Let me do a clarification there because I don't. Disarmed. He will be disarmed. Putin's going to be disarmed. The fighting. There's some kind of expose about him. Scholars, intellectuals and scholars building that peace treaty. That's fantastic. Final outcome with Oshun. Mastery. Mastery coming over the situation. I think he's facing karma that could theoretically, I think his life is in danger, and very much so with those cards. And if I were him, I don't even know if he can, I don't know if Putin can get out of this. One quick question, I know you guys always want to know about Trump. Don't you think, though, if Oshun is coming, that this is her year? I mean, that can't possibly be good for Trump, right? Considering all the horrible things he's done to children and everything else. Let's take a look. The future of Trump. I'm getting nervous. What if Oshun shows up again? Oh my goodness. Trump, what is your future this year? What is Trump's future this year? What is Trump's future? I don't know. What is Trump's future this year? Money, contracts, jobs. It's also interesting that he is well aware of the fact that he's got to get the job numbers up. He's got to do something to create more jobs. Jobs. He ran on a campaign of jobs. What happened to that? Remember when he kept saying he was going to create jobs? Page of Pentacles, Archangel Gabriel. Of all the archangels, the closest to the earth, the closest to your ear is Gabriel. Gabriel was the archangel that the Prophet Muhammad channeled, right? So this is the archangel we associate that's closest to the physical earth in terms of communicating inspiration, communicating with human beings, labor, work. The work of humans is associated with and close to the earth. So the earth sign is also Pentacles, right? So that would be Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo energy, also of the earth. The house of opposition is the Queen of Swords. Interesting. That would be, I think of the Queen of Swords as the court system. She is often associated with the sword of truth. I see possibly Trump getting in trouble with the court system, issues regarding women, issues of also the armistice, and the final outcome is he grieves. This is a card that shows up a lot with Trump, is the Five of Cups, which is associated grieving what he lost. He will lose something and he will grieve the loss. His administration is very aware of the fact that they've got to get jobs to the people. They've got to get jobs or he's in serious trouble. He will open up his administration they will open up and try and pass bills to get more people hired at the federal level. That's something I've seen. And there is something about him grieving in the coming months. Something's going to happen around summertime, including future legal battles that will not bode well for him. That's the best way for me to interpret this. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can find all that information below this video. If you need a medical consultation, psychic, a tarot reading, or medical intuition, I'm your girl, and you can find all that information below. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe.